Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new video and to the beginning of a new era, of a new series here on F1 22. Very exciting to get into it. If you haven't seen the F1 2021 series, that was my first series on a proper F1 game, and now we've had the experience. Let's do something awesome here. This time out we got new cars, new handling, new physics model, new tracks, updated tracks, a new calendar format, new race format. We got the sprint races. There's a lot to get into here with this series. At the moment, just speeding through our character customization, character building. Really, this is, we got our, my iconic fluoro green, fluoro yellow helmet that I've always used on these games, and yeah, that's just my go-to really when it comes to designing a helmet. Now, for the important stuff, the team details. First off, we have to pick a team name. Now, last time out we went with Zvezky Racing Team, but this time I wanted to do something slightly different, keeping the idea, but just making a slight change. And so for this series, or at least for the first season, our team name is going to be Zvezky F1 Racing. I haven't seen anyone use this sort of format for a name, but that's what we're going with. It's going to be at least our season 1 name, Zvezky F1 Racing there, to get us started here on F1 22. Now, the next big thing, primary sponsor. I'm going to go with Echo here. It's a good signing bonus, 4.5 million to get us off the ground, and a good goal bonus of just under 4 million, and a nice weekly income as well. And I feel like the goal is achievable. 2 points finishes over the course of the season should absolutely be doable. I don't know about 15 points. At 15 points I was sort of comfortable with, but just to be on a little bit of a safer side, I went with Echo there. Now for the power unit, I did have to think about this as well, and in the end I've decided to go with Red Bull Powertrain's new supplier into this season. And for our teammate here to pick out of F2, we've gone with Richard Verschoor. It was the only one that really sort of fit with the story of our power unit supplier. So in this sort of alternate universe we're creating here, Red Bull have pulled Verschoor back after leaving him for a season or two. I'm not sure exactly how long it has been, but they've brought him back. And as a part of our deal to go with Red Bull Powertrains, we've got Richard Verschoor as our teammate here for the first season of F1 22. We've got to build him up, and I imagine in the future, Red Bull will probably want to try and snatch him off of us. But yeah, let's get into the car reveal. So here it is, our challenger for the first season of our F1 22 MyTeam career. It's a simple enough livery. We've got our Zvezky green and then black and white accents around the rest of the car. Just going with the baseline stuff that comes with the game here for the first season, and then obviously as we go into further seasons, that's when we start delving into some modding stuff and making some custom liveries and building the story even further. Now, having a look at the activity timeline, we're going to do a driver training camp to help Verschoor sort of get prepared for the season, try and boost him up a little bit. And we're also going to do a pre-season merchandise sale just to help bring in some extra funds and whatnot, just to help get the team a bit more kick-started. Now, in terms of facilities, we have a Spec 1 aerodynamics facility after our interview with Will Buxton, which I didn't include because it's sort of real slow paced and everyone will have seen it 100 times by now by the time this video is getting out. Now, upgrades. Aero is what we are going to go for. Whenever I need to upgrade a car, aero is always what I tend to go for because I can race well enough if we're slow on a straight. It's just about making sure I'm comfortable in the corners. Otherwise, that's where we lose a bunch of speed. Now, simulating time a bit forward, we got a bit more resource points, and so we're going to go for a weight redistribution there to try and get the car a bit more stable through the corners as well. And that's really it. That's all there is to build off of before we head into Bahrain. So that's our team set up there in about 4.5 minutes. Not really any different from F1 2020 and F1 2021. That's just sort of, yeah, it's pretty much, you know, we know by this point how to set up a team. It's more about how we move going forwards and how we go about getting our team to the top. That is the challenge. You can see here just adding our primary sponsor there, Echo, onto a few more spots on the car. Last second, I realized I hadn't done that yet, so there we go. We got a bit more recognition there for the primary sponsor, which is probably a good thing for us there before we head in to the Bahrain Grand Prix. And just like with F1 2021, I'm not going to be showing practice or qualifying there. If you do want to see qualifying, then be sure to let me know, and maybe in future videos I'll start to incorporate that. But I just sort of don't do it to help keep the video time down, and whenever I happen to be watching a career video, I never really am too interested in the qualifying. So yeah, we have the grid rundown for that in just a moment. So yeah, if you guys do want to see qualifying in the future, be sure to let me know in the comments. But yeah, not a great qualifying for us anyway, so let's get into the grid rundown.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and the smooth operator Carlos Sainz completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Perez, Hamilton, Max Verstappen, and Fernando Alonso, Gasly, Vettel, Stroll, and Mick Schumacher, Ocon, Magnussen, Daniel Ricciardo and Tsunoda, Albon, Richard Verschoor, Valtteri Bottas and Guan Yu Zhou, Norris, Latifi, Russell and Benjamin. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race.
And so here we are lining up on the grid for the Bahrain Grand Prix, our first Grand Prix here as Zvezky F1 Racing. A few interesting positions to note from the grid rundown there is obviously Leclerc on pole and Sainz second to make a Ferrari 1-2 at the first round of the season. Verschoor in 16th, so pretty good for our teammate there. He made it through to Q2. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to get anywhere above last in that Q2 session, but to still gotten there in our first round is very good. Another very interesting thing to see is the Aston Martins did very well to be Vettel in 8th, Stroll in 9th. And their car's meant to be slower than ours on paper, so for them to be up there, we might have to worry a little bit. And we got Russell just to our left here in 21st. Unfortunately, I forgot to set a formation lap, so we're going straight into the race here. 5 lights out, and away we go. It is an absolutely atrocious start for us there. Lots of wheel spin. That's my first race start on the F1 22 game there. So, oh, well, we're just going to have to get stuck into making some overtakes. Russell goes for a massive dive to the inside there. He's already battling away for 14th there. Verschoor up ahead, also going very well with Norris and Albon. He gets ahead of the both of them, though. We get ahead of Bottas and Latifi to get ourselves into 20th. So good start for us to make up 2 spots. Great start from Russell to go from 21st to 16th. Verschoor, unfortunately, has dropped a spot down to 17th. But we do hold on to the position there ahead of Valtteri Bottas in the end. And that is us into 20th properly now without Bottas trying to attack us as we almost loop it there out of the left-hander. Norris going for a move, though, on Albon straight away. So the AI on this game, I noticed immediately, are a lot more punchy, a lot more ready to attack and to fight here for position as we go around the outside of Bottas as he tries to make a move on us, skating a little bit on that outside curve. Wasn't really expecting that. Luckily, we're able to keep it ahead of the Finn there in the Alfa Romeo. And actually, he is coming back at us. I have to check our vehicle condition there, and Mark, our new engineer there, confirming we don't have any damage, so that's good for us there. We sweep around the outside of Bottas, and again, we keep ourselves in 20th there. Bottas really keen to get ahead of us. You can see how much correction I'm able to do, though. This base MyTeam car is absolutely atrocious to try and drive here. So, yeah, the rear end wants to sip out quite a lot as we look further up now. Here is Russell going for a move on Guan Yu Zhou, almost running into the back of Kevin Magnussen there. But Zhou does keep it ahead of the Mercedes there. And now Russell actually under threat from Lando Norris as we head on to lap 2 down towards turn 1. Russell getting overtaken by the McLaren, but further back we're going for a move on Alex Albon in the Williams as we head down into turn 1. Norris actually got the move done. He's actually going for a move on Zhou as well. So Norris going for a massive dive up ahead. Meanwhile, we're going around the outside of turn 2 there, and we do get the move done on the Williams. He's not able to come back at us there by the looks of it, although he's actually under attack from Valtteri Bottas, who gets the move done on him, and he's going to try and go for the move on us. So the AI really loving trying to go for a double overtake, it seems, in this new iteration of the F1 game. And we do hold on to P18 there. You'll notice that with 18th because Max Verstappen in the Red Bull had to come in at the end of lap 1 there to fix his front wing. So we're going to go through a little running order here of what's happening. Leclerc is leading the way still ahead of Lewis Hamilton, who's now moved into second ahead of Carlos Sainz in third. The other Red Bull of Perez sits in fourth. The Alpine of Alonso is in fifth. Vettel doing very well at the moment to be in P6 for Aston Martin there. Gasly runs 7th and Stroll in the other Aston Martin in P8. So those guys having an amazing run there. The Aston Martin team there, they don't have a great car, but somehow both those drivers are outperforming that thing to be in the double points positions at the moment. We got Tsunoda in 9th, Schumacher looking for his first Formula 1 points there in 10th, and then scrolling down the grid, we got Zhou Guanyu again under threat from George Russell. Russell going to go to the outside of turn 1 this time. It didn't work on the inside last time, so he's going to go for a different sort of move here around the outside of the final corner. He does get the move done on the Alfa Romeo. That's Russell into 15th now. You can see Norris did get that move done on Zhou, and that now Russell's got to chase down the Mercedes to get the move done. Meanwhile, now onto lap 3, we have closed into the back of Verschoor, and you may have noticed they're not using a whole lot of ERS to try and get this move done because the ERS in this car runs out so quickly. There are just so many things we have to improve in this car if we want to get ourselves towards the front of the grid, but we do get the move done there on our teammate, and that is us up into 17th, and luckily there Bottas isn't able to go for a move on Verschoor, although I'm sure it won't be too long until the Flying Finn is able to get himself ahead of our teammate. But yeah, for now, 17th, we're going to try and chase down Zhou Guanyu, and at lap 3 here, the end of the lap, the other Red Bull now of Perez is having issues. So Verstappen right down and out of the points in last place, 16 seconds off of Latifi there, and now Perez having an engine failure, which is also a bit of a worry for us, remember, because we are also running the Red Bull powertrain here this season. So was that the wrong choice? We're going to have to wait and see as we now cut to the beginning of lap 4. So just after Perez retired there, we've got Valtteri Bottas, who has made the move on our teammate. He's now going to try and make a move on us here into turn 4. We're going to try and hang it around the outside of the Alfa Romeo, and we do get that done there and hold on 16th it is now with Perez retiring from the race. And you can see the cars ahead are just starting to pull away. I just really am struggling to keep this car pointing in the right direction. So, weight redistribution. You can see again the rear kicking out there as we head to the double left-hander. So Bottas gonna maybe have a little look. He makes a mistake trying to do it. He's run wide there at the double left-hander, and that's cost him dearly there. He's now down behind Latifi. So, yeah, massive mistake there for Bottas. That's cost him. But yeah, outpacing this car is just shocking. I cannot close in to Zhou Guanyu at this point in the race. Hopefully, we can get a little bit more acclimatized to the car as the race goes on. But for now, 1.5 seconds off of those guys. You can see looking further back, unfortunately, Verschoor, he must have damaged his front wing trying to defend from Bottas, because look how slow he's going. He's missing the front right end plate there. And there's Alex Albon making the move on our teammate. Although Verschoor actually trying to keep his foot in it here, trying to keep ahead of the Williams. And sure, he'll come into the pit lane at the end of the lap. He doesn't put up too much of a fight through the last corner, luckily enough there. We don't want him losing any more time than he's going to have to here. And you can see he does pull into the pit lane at the end of the lap. So that's a massive shame there for our teammate. He's shown some good promise so far this weekend with a good qualifying position. And we were pretty equal on race pace, I'd want to say there. So yeah, massive shame. Hopefully something can come about later on that can maybe get himself back towards us. But looking now at the end of lap 5, Russell going for a move on Norris into the final corner. He's gone for the inside again, and this time Norris is going to try and hold it around the outside. So every time Russell tries to go for a move there on the inside, it never seems to work out for him. So maybe the outside's a better way to go for a move around this track here, as Russell now again with DRS and slipstream goes for a move on the McLaren to the inside of turn 1. That's definitely the better way to do it, and he is completely ahead by the time they're even at the apex. So Russell now into 13th. He's doing pretty well so far on his recovery drive. I'm not sure why he was so far back down the grid, but as we now cut to lap 7 here, you can see all over the back of Zhou, so we haven't been able to close in with these guys battling around a little bit, and we put him off a little bit through turn 1, 2, and 3, and so now we're right on the back of him as we head down towards turn 4, just making sure we don't have any damage there. As we head into turn 4, we're going to go for a lunge. We've gone a lot deeper than I thought we were going to there. The brakes not as good as I was thinking of, obviously just coming out with an almost fully upgraded F1 2021 car to this absolute dog of a 22 base car. Yeah, we've got a lot of adjusting to do if we want to, perform well in this poor car. You can see again losing the rear as we get onto the power, just struggling to keep this car pointing in the right direction. But yeah, we're ahead of Zhou. Now, are we able to chase down Lando Norris Our cars are pretty similar to the McLaren, at least they're supposed to be anyway. On paper, I say that. The Aston Martins are currently right up there in the points, so who knows anymore what is actually happening in terms of car performance. But looking up ahead now, we got Yuki Tsunoda battling away with Mick Schumacher. Schumacher, he was in the points before. He's made a move on Esteban Ocon, I believe it is, and now he's going for a move on Yuki Tsunoda. So the German really loving that new Haas car this season, apparently, trying to get as many points as he can for his first points in F1. Unfortunately, he's not able to get the move done on the AlphaTauri there, but as we head down the main straight, you'd assume he's going to try and go for a move, and he is. As we head down towards turn 1, they're going to go side by side. We've also got Ocon and Ricciardo battling behind, so lots of battles happening here, which is good to see as Schumacher goes a little bit deep into turn 1. So Tsunoda trying to get a crisscross. He's going to have to pull back in behind, but get the better run out of turn 2 and 3. And he's actually, who's got the DRS there? They've both got DRS, so I guess Stroll is just close enough for that to happen. And it's almost gone 3 wide behind there. And there's contact. There's front wing flying everywhere. Cars are making contact left, right, and center. And that's going to help us out a lot. As you can see, Ricciardo trying to get a move done on Magnussen of the other Haas there, who looks like he's actually broken his front wing. So that's a shame there for Haas. They're looking good to maybe try and score some double points here, but Magnussen's going to have to come in to fix that front wing. As looking up ahead, Schumacher and Tsunoda still going side by side, and Schumacher's off track, and that's going to cost him all those positions. So in the space of half a lap there, Haas's points dreams have sort of seemed to come to a bit of a halt there, with Magnussen going to have to come in. Schumacher down now in 16th, so yeah, huge shame there for the Haas team. They look like they've got quite a bit of pace, but yeah, just bad luck happening here. I guess every F1 race, bad luck's going to happen to someone, because only 10 people can score points every race. But yeah, good to see that a nice combination of the new cars and sort of a bit more aggressive AI causing a bit more exciting racing to happen here on the F1 22 game as we head down into the final corner. Magnussen going side by side with Russell. Russell trying to find a way through on the damaged Haas. We actually get a really nice switchback there on Norris. And actually Russell and Magnussen both coming into the pit lane there, so they both got damage. And after everyone that got damage comes into the pit lane, we're now running in 10th. We're in the points here in our first F1 race. That came out of absolutely nowhere. We were running down the back of the grid just a moment ago. I don't know what's happened there, but we're running in 10th, a legitimate P10 as the cars behind us battle away, which is only going to help us try and pull a little bit of a gap as Norris tries to find a way through on Zhou Guanyu after Guanyu made a move there on Norris just after we did. As we now look onto lap 9, still Zhou making that mistake. We've seen it a couple times now, that mistake, so that helps us even more, because now it's only Norris behind us. But as we now cut to lap 10, Norris is directly behind us here, trying to look for a way through, and you wouldn't believe it, but Norris makes the same mistake there, not quite as severe. He keeps it on track at least, but he's run very wide, getting caught on that outside curb. And it's now Mick Schumacher behind us again, so out of nowhere, Schumacher's, as I was just saying, looked like he was sort of not really in contention for points anymore. He's now right behind us, trying to get the last spot in the points. So, yeah, well, everything's sort of going everywhere at the moment. I don't really know what to say. I'm sort of losing my words here at the moment because, yeah, who knows what's happening at this point of the race. As we head down towards the final corner at the end of lap 10 here, we're getting pretty close to our pit window. It is going to be a one-stop onto the hards, if I haven't mentioned that already. Schumacher, though, is within DRS, and so we're going to be under massive threat here from the Ferrari-powered Haas. That Ferrari is the best engine in the game at the moment. As we head down towards turn 1, here comes the Haas flying up to the rear of us. We don't have much ERS to play with, to defend with, unfortunately, as we head through turn 1 side by side with the German, looking for his first points. So are we, as we head through turn 2 around the outside. We get the move done, and actually we have the DRS there, and that'll help us keep ahead of the Haas at least for another lap here. As we look, this is still lap 11, back to Max Verstappen now, who is just ahead of George Russell, and it's another engine failure there for the Red Bull powertrain. Both main Red Bull team cars there have now retired with an engine failure. That is absolutely very worrying for us. If the two main team cars have an engine failure, surely something's got to happen to a customer team car at some point. It is a safety car, which is pretty much perfect. We were coming into the pit lane in a lap or two time anyway. But yeah, everyone's going to be coming in at this point. The only people that haven't come in are the leaders, because they were already ahead of the pit lane, but they shouldn't get any disadvantage from that anyway, because we're all going to be under Delta. Are we able to maybe make up any positions here in the pit lane? I'm not too sure. I don't think we are going to be able to, unfortunately, as we exit our pit box. We do exit in P10 still, so at least we're still ahead of Schumacher there. We're behind Sonoda. Looking further back, everyone coming into the pit lane. Not a single person skipping here. The pit lane, even Vershaw, he's on the soft compound tyres. He's coming in for a set of hards as well. So at least he's sort of back into the main race at the moment. But we're going to go for a little auto check here to see what has changed. We've got Leclerc still leading the race here. He's led from start up until this point, about halfway through now, the whole way. So very dominant race so far from him. Hamilton still second. Stroll in third. He hasn't made a pit stop yet. He's the only driver that still has to make a scheduled pit stop. Sainz currently sits fourth. Alonso fifth. Gasly sits in sixth. Vettel has made a pit stop. He sits in seventh. Obviously will be sixth once Stroll makes his pit stop. Ricciardo sits in 8th, Sonoda 9th, and then it's ourselves rounding out the top 10 in the points. So, great race for us so far. I don't know if we're going to be able to hold off the very fast charging cars of Schumacher and Bottas behind us, even Russell, and yeah, those guys could be coming through very, very quickly. You can see there he is down in 19th, and for sure, unfortunately, the last car remaining on track in P20. Hopefully, he can show the pace that I know he has and get himself, maybe not into the points, obviously, but at least into the mid-teens would be very nice to see as we get a really nice restart here on lap 16. But unfortunately, our car's just not great in this straight line. We've got a lot of drag on this car, and so if we want to go for a move, we're going to go for a dive into turn 1. Ricciardo, though, a massive dive. He's gone for a triple overtake there into turn 1. We're going to get a move done here on Yuki Tsunoda into turn 1. Ricciardo trying to make it a triple. Unfortunately for him there, looks like he's not going to quite get that done. They're going to go 3 wide into turn 4, those guys. It's Vettel, Gasly, and Ricciardo. Somehow they've all come out of that with no damage. It's now, Gasly has come out ahead of that, though, so he's retained P6 there, and now it's going to be Vettel versus Ricciardo through the right, through the left. They're slowing us down quite a bit now, as Vettel has the inside here for the right-hander. So is he going to get ahead? It doesn't look like they're going to go side by side. So they're going to go side by side, do the double left-hander, which you've seen a lot of people have trouble with. And Vettel is off. He's off to the right-hand side. He's got caught on that curb, and it's sort of pushed him out to the right there. So huge shame there for the Aston Martins, especially with Stroll being completely out of sync now on some weird strategy where he's going to have to pit and be out of the points. So, yeah, all of a sudden there for Aston Martin, it's gone like looking like they were going to score double points here in Bahrain to now they're going to struggle to score even a point at this point, as Sonoda tried to make a move on us there, but he wasn't quite able to, and he's now got Lando Norris right on his shove as we head into the third sector. And yeah, that should help us sort of pull away from these guys a little bit. We shouldn't be under attack down the main straight with these guys battling into the final corner. Even behind us, you can see Schumacher and Bottas battling away, as well as Lando and Yuki. It's going to sort of 2 by 2 now down the main straight. A lot of positions shuffling around here as people try and get back into the positions as we head down towards turn 1. Who's going to get this done? They're all still side by side, so the DRS obviously not being enabled yet means every car is sort of equal down in a straight line because the engines aren't massively different this season. I think Ferrari is by far the better one, but then you get the rest that are sort of equal as we head down towards turn 4 now. These guys still squabbling away. Lando did get the move done on Yuki, and Bottas has got the move done on Schumacher, has he? Schumacher actually keeping his nose in there. Very brave there from the German to trust that Bottas wasn't going to cut his nose off as we head down to Intersector 2 now. Who's going to get it? They're still going. My gosh, they're still going. It keeps looking like one of them's going to take the position, but in the end, they just keep going side by side, and we've seen so many mistakes into this corner, and it's both of them this time. Schumacher was the one that made the mistake, not Bottas, and that just ran both of them off the track. And yeah, they're both right down out of the points now. I wouldn't be surprised if that's their race pretty much over. Is on lap 19 now. We have a look at Hamilton under attack from Carlos Sainz, and there's contact between the Ferrari and Mercedes there, and I believe the Mercedes has a bit of damage, and he does. Hamilton into the pit lane. That'll be another free position for us. Mercedes will be absolutely spewing now with Russell down in 20th. Hamilton's for sure going to be out of the points, and Fernando Alonso for Alpine legitimately in 3rd place there. Gasly in 4th, Ricciardo 5th, ourselves in 6th now. So absolutely incredible. Somehow we're going to be scoring some big points here in our first race if we can keep this up. Unfortunately for Vershaw, he was in that battle for 12th there with the 2 Williams, but he's damaged his front wing yet again, and he's now under attack from Vettel, and he's going to have to come in again for a third pit stop here in Bahrain with what should be a one-stop race. It's such a shame to see him having to do this, because I know he's got the pace. He showed it in qualifying. He showed it this whole race, being able to work his way through the field. But yeah, it just wasn't meant to be for our teammate, unfortunately. And it's going to be no points from Verschoor in his first race in F1. But now, on lap 24, you can see Magnussen was the one chasing us down. He makes a mistake there in the double left-hander. Just so many mistakes. I guess all the AI cars struggling as well to get acclimatized to these new cars, as it's just sort of helping us. It's now Ocon behind us, and Lando trying to go for a move on the Haas as Magnussen tries to sort of regather his bearings after making that mistake. And they're going to go side by side here into the third sector they're going to head into now. Who's going to come out on top? Is it Lando? Is it Kevin? They're going to keep going side by side. It looks like McLaren's got it done there. But now Kevin's got the slipstream. He's going to go back to the inside for the final corner. Magnussen ahead. Lando tries to sweep round the outside here, and he is going to get that done. But obviously now, DRS is at play, and Lando is the one that gets it. Lando has the DRS, but look how powerful that Ferrari engine is compared to the Mercedes engine. Even without DRS, he's pulled up and alongside the McLaren into turn one. They're going to keep going side by side here, and this is exactly why we're still in 6th place, because all the guys that should be catching up to us and passing us are just battling away amongst themselves, and Magnussen does get the DRS down that second straight there, and that does put an end to that battle there finally, as Magnussen pulls ahead in the Haas. But you can see now, Ocon was closing into us, but you guessed it, he's made the same mistake as everyone else there into the double left-hander. I swear at this point, it's only ourselves that haven't made that mistake yet. And so it's Magnussen back into 7th. So these guys just keep swapping and changing positions this whole race with mistakes and overtaking each other. And that's just helping us maintain this 3-second lead. As we cut now the end of the second last lap, Ocon makes a big mistake there, so he's completely out of that now. He's in P9. He doesn't have to worry about keeping us ahead, but what he does have to do is worry about Alex Albon in the Williams having an outstanding race there for what's meant to be the slowest car on the grid. Albon doing what he's done in real life, and look at the score points here in the Williams. He's in P9 now, so a good 2 points there for that team could, you know, help them finish anything but last in the Constructors, because, you know, as we know in the F1 games, there's always normally 1 or 2 teams that score 0 points by the end of the season. But very similar to F1 2021, the start of Season 3, Charles Leclerc with an absolute dominant win here in Bahrain has led the race, start to finish, completely unchallenged, even on the safety car restart. He's going to round the final corner, win the Bahrain Grand Prix by 3 seconds over Carlos Sainz, his teammate. It's going to be a 1-2 for Ferrari, very much like real 22 season here. It's a 1-2 for Ferrari. Both Red Bulls DNF from the race, and even then, the biggest story to come out of this race is Fernando Alonso in the Alpine on the podium in 3rd place here, the first round of the season. Incredible result there for those guys. Gasly is going to finish 4th, Ricciardo in 5th, and for ourselves, it's also a really, really awesome result. I wasn't expecting this. We didn't have the pace for this. We're only here based on pure luck, but we're going to take what we can get. We're going to round the final corner, and it's going to be a P6 here in Bahrain. Absolutely incredible.
And that's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
Smiling faces on the pit wall then after that superb win here at Sakir. And rightly so, a brilliant effort from the whole team. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, they certainly stood out as a drive with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
Looking at the podium, you can see that red suit familiar to fans across the globe. A world-class win for a world-class team. Ferrari, do it again.
And so, as I was saying, very interestingly enough, it's almost a carbon copy of the real-life Bahrain Grand Prix with the two Ferraris 1-2, Leclerc taking out the race win, and both Red Bulls failing to even finish the race. Obviously, Alonso being in third is very much not what happened in Bahrain, but very exciting to see those guys up there, and I get the feeling this is going to be an incredible season if those sort of things are happening here in the first round of the first season. But for ourselves, awesome result here in Bahrain for our first round as a team here for Zvezky F1 Racing to finish in P6, 8 points in the bag. Leclerc, though, for the perfect race there with a race win, fastest lap, complete clean sweep, qualified on pole, fastest lap, race win from light to flag. So, yeah, great race from those guys at Ferrari. I get the feeling they're going to be pretty strong this season with Carlos in second, Alonso third, Gasly and Ricciardo fourth and fifth, ourselves sixth, Magnussen seventh, Norris eighth. Albon did hold off Ocon in the end there for P9, so really good result there for Williams to get points in the first round of the season. Ocon 10th, and Schumacher will be absolutely kicking himself for those couple of mistakes he made. And here we have the bottom part of the standings. Unfortunately, Vasseur down in 18th in the end with a 3-stop, having to pit twice to fix his front wing. He absolutely had the pace for more than that, but yeah, that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, unfortunately. So yeah, he's just going to have to show what he can do in a future round somewhere. But in terms of the constructors, no point looking at the drivers because that's just where everyone finished. In terms of the constructors, we sit in 5th at the moment. There's no chance we stay there with Mercedes and Red Bull both being in 10th and 11th on 0 points. They're for sure going to score some big points at some point this season. They just got very unlucky this time out for the first round in Bahrain. But yeah, not a bad start to the season. 2 points ahead of Haas, who, if we're not careful, those guys will overtake us pretty quickly as well because that car is 100% quicker than ours. So yeah, we've got to be careful of those guys, make sure we don't fall behind in development. But yeah, that's all for this episode, guys. We've got Saudi Arabia next for round 2. If you guys did enjoy and want to see more F1 22 content in the future, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.